Now about calling on the Baker Street irregulars to gather interesting info on Beck and his enablers. David Carr blogged something thought-provoking in the New York Times today. Well, Mr. Beck, he wrote, may be serving as a proxy for the party of opposition. His targets are members of the administration, a rugged game to be sure, but not one that attempts to investigate journalists and commentators for having contrary opinions. What might Mr. Olbermann do if someone digs up dirt on his intended targets who, like him, work in the infotainment industry and have been elected by no one? Once the game of oppo research on the press begins, it's hard to tell where it might stop. No? It's a kind of admirable naivete about the idea that opposition research is just dawning out there on the horizon in the news business. Fox, mostly through the co-owned New York Post, has been running that kind of opposition research program on me since the day I left News Corp's employ in 2001. The Post once printed an old address of mine. It sent a goofus to stand outside my house and shout at me about 7-year-old three-figured tax disagreements with the state of California, disagreements that had been resolved 5 years previously. It has printed made-up quotes, questioned my sexual prowess, and mocked me when the New York police ordered me to a hospital to make sure that the fake anthrax sent to my home really was fake anthrax. This is called opposition research, and not even accurate opposition research. In fact, 2 years ago, when he still worked for CNN, Beck retaliated against my criticism by going on a rant about where I wrote my scripts, where I kept the questions during a show, and the fact that there was an old prop mailbox outside my office. Info that was supposed to terrify me into submission because it could only have come from an employee or an ex-employee. This, too, is called opposition research. So my idea was hardly a new one. It's underway right now. And the over-under on the dying New York Post printing something bizarre or Beck calling me Joe McCarthy again is 10 days. But Mr. Carr's point begs a great question. Do I really want to be like Glenn Beck? Do I really want to be like Fox News or the New York Post? I don't mean I'd stop calling any of them out for their inanities or for the next time Beck sounds that desperate, sick dog whistle hope that somebody might, blow up Rockefeller Center because it's full of fascist, socialist, symbolist art, even though he works in Rockefeller Center too. Now, this is about having or not having a blind lead box on these people and then vetting information that arrives there. I don't know. I'll reserve the right to summon the Baker Street irregulars, but I don't think so. I have some things Mr. Beck does not. A conscience, respect of my colleagues, and self-respect. Besides which, in just the last 10 weeks, Beck has fantasized about poisoning the Speaker of the House of Representatives. He's agreed with a guest who advocated a bin Laden terror attack on this country, and he's already personally called the President of the United States a racist. What could we possibly find out that would be more humiliating to Glenn Beck, more embarrassing to Glenn Beck, more destructive about Glenn Beck than this one fact? He's Glenn Beck!